Hi, thank you for joining this video where we're helping you how to apply to REUs. My name is Paola Rodriguez Hidalgo. I'm assistant professor at the University of Washington, Bothell.
And my name is Daniel Serrano, and I'm a faculty specialist at University of Maryland, College Park. So let's first get started by talking about what are REUs in case you're not familiar. So REU stands for Research Experience for Undergraduates, and these usually are a 10-week paid faculty mentored summer internship for you to get some experience doing research. Typically, they cover expenses so that you can actually get to the research site. So if this opportunity is not taking place locally nearby you, don't worry about it. They will typically pay for you to go there, and also not to only get there, but also to paying your housing. They usually are cohort based, so you would get to be around about 9 other peers that are working on their own projects, and then interact with each other and share about like your experiences during the summer. And they don't require substantial previous research experience, so this is open to many people. They particularly, some of them are interested in bringing undergrads that don't have research experience so that they can get that experience. They provide professional development in addition to the research that you're going to do, so you get to learn how to communicate science or how to find out what you want to do after undergrad, like if you want to go to grad school, you want to get a job, things like that. And they typically have application deadlines around January and February.
So these videos include information about the self-reflection that you need to do on the prep work for applying, then finding the REUs, assembling your own application, and finally what happens when the results are getting in or you're not getting in. In this video, we're focusing on assembling the application.
Yeah, so the first thing that we want to emphasize is that applying to REUs is very individual. It really depends on what level you are, what skills you have, and most importantly, in some cases, what you're interested in and what your goals are. So because it's so individual, we want to let you know that we're here to help you navigate that process. And so if you're interested in getting that one-on-one level of interaction for helping you with applying, you can reach out to reuapplicationhelp@gmail.com, and then we will arrange to meet with you.
So in the assembling the application, the typical application materials, although you definitely should check with every site because they might have some special things that they want to hear from you, they get from you, are the application form that has a lot of the contact information, who you are, what projects you are interested in, and some other, again, tailored questions maybe. The transcripts, your GPA, and any coursework that you have done, typically which classes on physics and astronomy you have taken that are relevant for the REU experiences. Then a personal research statement, letters of recommendation, and a resume CV about, again, what have you done previously, right? Some applications will also ask for specific details. I was saying, for example, programming, experience coding is very typical because obviously we need a lot of programming in many of the different experiences that you're going to be going. But again, it could be a whole range dependent on your interests.
And I think like one of the reasons that we're putting this list here for you is that it's useful to get sort of like gather all these components together ahead of time, and then kind of like understand how much you have from them, so that then you know how to use it for different applications, because likely you're going to be ending up applying to many different REUs. So having these compiled already makes it easier for then you to apply to different programs.
And please do not feel overwhelmed. It looks like a lot. We're going to go through some of the things. And again, we can help you with some of the particularities that might be a little bit more confusing right now.
So let's first talk about one of these first elements that we listed in the other slide before, which is your personal research statement. And this is an important one for you to go and look at each of the REU program websites and determine what they want to hear from you, because some of them will have like different word limits or page limits, but they're typically around like 1 page long. And so the idea here for your personal statement is you really want to go into each REU program and read their materials, read their website, read their flyers to understand it well. And then that way you can write your research statement specifically for each program so that they understand that you really want to go there that you this is a program that really is in your interest. Another useful thing to do in these personal statements is to show yourself. So really express what it is that motivates you to try to find some research, to gain research experience. How does that align with your career goals? How does that align with like just your level where you are learning, your stage of learning? And then also it's important to describe previous experiences. So some people might think, well, I have not done research before. I have not been engaged in an internship before. What can I do? Am I not like suitable for an opportunity? Actually, that's not the case. So you can think about maybe you've taken some class labs, or some labs at the university. You've done some independent research on your own. You've done some projects. That actually counts. So whenever you're listing previous experiences, think outside of the box if you don't have an actual internship before, and write down what actually experiences you've had that could have contributed to being able to be a researcher. And the same thing applies for knowledge. So you might want to talk about relevant classes that you've taken. And so all of these, things that have prepared you for the program and made you interested in the program.
Okay, more things that you should include in this personal research statement. The program is going to benefit from having you. You belong here, and you also are going to benefit from the program. So be specific about how this perfect match is where you are actually going to be helping them and they're going to helping you. So how are the benefits, the mutual benefits that this connection with the program, you and the program, is actually going to have at the end, right? Demonstrate very specifically why you're interested in the program. So really read all of the RU projects that are available, mention specific things that you are really interested in, although we're telling you later you should still keep it broad in, because they might not be tailored exactly to what you are wanting to do at the very end. But show that you have read the projects, that you are really interested in certain things, and mention them in the application, right? And then finally, you want to differentiate yourself from other applicants. What makes you unique? And again, we are all unique in our life experiences and interests that will help you through this program. Maybe challenges that you have gone and overcome, difficulties, mention difficulties here, maybe for your GPA, maybe it's not that fantastic, but you have been working, you have experience, following, working for a company or something like that. Those things here will be great to mention, right? And that's what I mentioned also at the end, right? The challenges that you overcome, really emphasize those things, because we want to hear from you and what makes you unique for these experiences.
So all of these pieces of information that we have given you as tips that are useful to include might seem a little bit overwhelming. So we want to present you here with a typical structure that you could use for your personal statement. And I will note that in some cases, actually, the application process for some REU sites will give you text boxes that will ask for specific information instead of asking for like a general essay. So in that case, it's easier and kind of like more straightforward for you to just kind of like answer each question prompt. But if they are just asking for a general essay or a general personal statement or something like that, you might find useful to use this conventional structure. So the first paragraph would basically include your background and your interest in science. So how did you come and become interested in exploring research opportunities in a specific subfield of physics or astronomy or something like that? Then the second paragraph would talk about your previous experiences. So what knowledge and skills have you gained already? And like we were saying, that doesn't necessarily mean only internships. It can be classes that you've taken. It can be hobbies that you have. Like I was talking to someone that was interested in racing cars, and she, she actually worked with racing cars, and that's how she gained some skills in kind of like machine shop stuff, right? And so, like what things make you a good fit for the program, because you actually belong in these programs, okay? So like you just have to convey that in words. And then a third paragraph would be what you will gain from the REU and what the REU will gain from you, because you are someone that's learning physics, and you're already kind of like bringing knowledge, bringing new ideas. You're a creative person, so you can bring things to the REU, and you should convey that. But also, you know, what are you going to get out of this experience, and kind of like just, you know, talk about those two things. First, you can be broad about it. You can be just generally about the topics in that REU program, or generally about physics or astronomy. But we recommend that then, if the REU program website lists the possible projects or possible mentors, for you to list one or two of those specific ones, so that you show this REU program application committee that you have done your homework and that you're interested in that specific program, and they can better fit you with what you would want to do in that program. And then the last paragraph would be just a brief closing where you talk about your future goals and how that the REU experience will help you achieve those goals. Don't feel like you need to know exactly what you're going to do with your life. You're not committing to anything when you write these essays. No one's going to hold you accountable for going to grad school if you say that you want to go to grad school, or to go get a job after undergrad if you say that. It's just to get a sense of where you think you're going at the moment. And then, of course, you know, like some of these, the order of these paragraphs could be swapped depending on your preference on how you want to tell that story.
And we know that writing is scary, especially as physics and astronomy students. We were like thinking that we're not going to have to write a lot, but you have to. That's why we're here to help. But also, a lot of universities, with your tuition, you're also paying for writing centers that might be helping you. So also research that, or help with other people around you, because writing is scary, but you're going to have maybe a writer's block, but you can definitely do this. Other tips. It is okay if you don't have any previous experience. You have to mention that if you have any relevant previous experience, right? But maybe you are actually going to gain a lot of experience with these sites. Different programs, different projects are going to require different levels. Some of them don't need absolutely any experience before. So that's why also reading all of the REUs and seeing, you know, what the projects are include, and maybe even talking to them, as we're going to mention later, is appropriate, because you might find one that is a very good fit for you because it's exactly where you are in life with research experience and so on, right? And again, we mentioned this before and we're emphasizing it. It is okay if you don't know what do you do with your life. Many people know that they want to go to grad school. Many people know that they do not want to go to grad school. Some people know that they want to work in some particular industry and so on, but you might still don't know where you're going to do. That was, for example, my case when I was doing research experience as an undergrad. So just explain how the REU is going to help you make these decisions, these future decisions in life, and how this experience is going to help you tailor, narrowing down a little bit of your future career.
So let's talk a little bit about letters of recommendation, which is one of those other parts of typical in the application. We recommend, you know, as individuals that tend to give letters of recommendation from personal experience, we recommend that you request these at least a month before the deadline for the REU application, just to give you know, people time to put it into their schedule, writing the letter and sending it. Make it just as easy as possible as you can to the reference, and some ways to do that would be you can offer to send them your personal research statement or your resume and CV so that they have all the information. You can offer, although, you know, this is just an offer in case they want to take it, to meet and have a discussion about all the programs you're applying to and give them an idea of what you would want to see in that letter. Definitely, I think this is a very useful one. Send them a very concrete, easy to read list of the programs that you're applying, the deadlines that you're applying, and if there's a specific instruction on how to submit the letter. Some of them will be asking to send the letter by email, but some of them will actually be asking to log into some system to submit the letter. So it should be your homework to make it easier on the reference letter writer to tell them, you know, this letter is going to be submitted by email. This letter requires a login to this link. This one, you will receive an email directly from the program requesting it. So it's easier if you just provide this very concrete, specific list. And finally, don't hesitate to remind them close to the deadline, just because in some cases things get hectic. And so like maybe the application is down in their to-do list, and bumping it up so that to ensure that it happens, it's not gonna be seen as a bad thing. So a reminder email, don't feel too hesitant to send one of those. Just going a little bit into the past, it's good to cultivate relationships ahead of time. So if you're thinking about applying to an REU later into the future, it might be a good time to kind of like ask questions in class, show up to office hours so that you get the attention and kind of like build a relationship with your professors that then could become someone that you can ask for a letter and feel comfortable asking for a letter that will be informative and will be a strong letter. And then just a few kind of like cordiality tips. Thank the writer after the submission is over. And also, if you get into a program, then let them know. They will be super happy to hear that they helped you to achieve this.
Yeah, we were very happy for you. And one thing, for example, when they sent me an email a month ago, as Daniel said, I definitely go with them through our applications to see, if I can help them improve some of the things. And I also ask them for my own letters to remind me what are the things that I should mention, that I should emphasize about. Maybe you have the program experience, you were a fantastic student in this class, you get the A, or things like that. So that way I can write an even better letter of recommendation. So more insider tips on people that have been in these committees and have selected students for REUs. First of all, it is okay, and sometimes a great idea, to ask to meet with that person in that email in the REU organizer to learn more about the program. You want to know if you're a good fit. You want to tell them if you are a good fit, that you actually see this REU project or REU site perfect for you. You actually want to communicate with that and then have that exchange of information with them, right? You can also reach out to particular mentors if there is one particular project you're very interested in ahead of applying. So that way you can learn more about the project and the specifics that are going to be required of you for that to, again, find that perfect fit, right? And also that way you put them in the radar and they start knowing, your name. And then when we review applications, they already know, this person actually wanted to meet with me, has very particular interest in working together, right? But again, we, as Daniel was saying before, we are very busy people. So sometimes you're not going to get a response. My inbox right now has like 2,000 emails that I haven't read. So you don't get a response, don't get too discouraged, because it's just that, again, sometimes we just cannot, we don't have the time to reply those things, or even when we try. We wanted to be transparent on how we do these things. And there are different styles on how the application reviews are carried out, right? You need to think then who you are writing. You are writing for a particular audience. Who is this audience? In some cases, when we review these applications, is an REU organizer and maybe a small faculty committee. Your faculty mentor for that project might not be there. In other cases, it's delegated and it's all of faculty mentors that select people from their projects. So that's why we said that you want to mention specific faculty mentors, but you also want to say that the whole REU is appropriate for you because of X, X, and X.
Right. So the last thing that we want to do is we want to re-emphasize that the application process is very individual. It depends on you. And so we are, in addition to putting together this video, we're here to just do one-on-one consultations with anyone that's interested in applying and getting some help with applications. All you have to do is email reuapplicationhelp@gmail.com, and then we will get your email. We will process that and coordinate logistics with you to meet and get you set with applying. Other than that, good luck with the process of applying. And I don't know if Paula, you want to say something else.
Good luck.